The Minnesota Vikings will go to the Chicago Bears on Monday, October 31st in Week 8 NFL action. It would be great if the Minnesota Vikings dressed as Vikings and the Chicago Bears played in grizzly bear costumes for what looks to be a totally lopsided Monday Night Football matchup for Halloween. Minnesota is a 6-point favorite and that number will likely go up given the quarterback situation for the Chicago Bears as these NFC North rivals meet. The season from hell continues for the Bears, who lost Brian Hoyer to a broken arm and had to finish their Week 6 loss to Green Bay with Matt Barkley. The keys to the offense now go back to Jay Cutler for the Bears, who are 1-6 straight up and against the spread. The Minnesota Vikings were a surprise loser coming out of the bye week as they fell victim to the Philadelphia Eagles. Each side turned the ball over 4 times in that game, and the Vikings were finally exposed on account of their offense. Minnesota is 5-1 straight up and against the spread, even though they are not even managing 300 yards per game. Mike Zimmer was visibly unhappy with his team's performance in Week 7, and who can blame him? The Vikings turned the ball over 4 times, which is something that they cannot do with this patchwork offense. Sam Bradford threw his first pick of the season and was sacked 6 times. He also fumbled 4 times and lost 2 of those. This team has no running game to speak of. They rushed for 3.4 yards per carry on Philadelphia's run defense and only managed 9.3 yards per catch because they couldn't run anything deep. Make no mistake, the Vikings defense is still elite. They didn't have any sacks against Carson Wentz, but the Vikings forced 4 turnovers of their own and held the Eagles to less than 250 yards of offense. This is such a strong group at all levels of the defense, but it became clear that they cannot do it alone. The Vikings defense has held opposing quarterbacks to a 55.7% success rate, with 9 interceptions against just 5 passing touchdowns. The run defense has allowed just 3.7 yards per carry and has more fumble recoveries than touchdowns allowed. If the defense can keep putting the offense into favorable spots with field position, then the Vikings may continue to win. But either way, things need to change offensively. There probably is not a worse spot to bring Jay Cutler back than this one. If Brian Hoyer had lasted another week until the bye, maybe it would have been better. But Cutler comes back to face the most ferocious defense in the NFL. Cutler was awful before he hurt his thumb, and it's hard to see anything really changing. He was 28 of 46 for 373 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, but he was sacked 8 times in 2 games. The development of a running game with Jordan Howard, who has 4.8 yards per carry, could be helpful, but that implies that the Bears will be able to run the ball on the Vikings' front 7. Alshon Jeffrey is a great wide receiver, but he has not caught a touchdown pass yet this season, and teams are really focused on him each and every week. The Bears' defense is getting better, but it's still not quite there. There aren't enough playmakers in the secondary. The Bears have only allowed 3.9 yards per carry on the season, but opposing quarterbacks are marching down the field at a 66.9% clip. The Bears have allowed 10 passing touchdowns and only have 4 interceptions. They have only allowed 10.5 yards per catch, which is tied for the 3rd best mark in the NFL. But they're giving up too many short completions that add up to sustained drives. Only the Lions and the Giants have a stronger average drive length against, so the Bears need to do more to get off the field and create more 3rd and long situations. It's very hard to take a big favorite on Monday Night Football with an offense like Minnesota's, but it's also very hard to see how Jay Cutler gets the Bears offense moving down the field. He has not played since Week 2, and a lack of timing is a bad thing against a Vikings team with 19 sacks and 16 takeaways. This is one of those games where the Vikings may only need 13 or 17 points to cover the spread, and that seems like a viable thing for their offense. Our pick and prediction is the Minnesota Vikings at -6. For our pick and prediction on this game and every other game this week, and a wealth of free stats and information, check out bangthebook.com.